Hey, all right, it's Roxanne, and this is going to be a dating education course, okay? This is not something that is made up completely by me. I actually heard pieces of it, and then I, of course, used the pieces that I heard, and I'm going to branch out into my beliefs or story behind it. But I think it's really important. I believe in God's timing, and I think that it is super crazy, but not once or twice, but 3 times, okay? And 3 times in 2 days. So on between Saturday and Sunday. I'm not going to say any names, of course, but I got 3 different phone calls from 3 different people. And all 3 of the people, and by the way, if you know who you are that called me, and if you are watching this, I am not trying to offend you in any way. It goes to show that I am only one person, and the fact that I had 3 people reach out to me within 2 days about relationship issues. 2 of them were married people. One of them was just in a relationship, unmarried, but it all has to do with educating. And I know that I'm not perfect, and I obviously have a child and wasn't married and stuff, but I just wanted to share kind of this vision, and I'm a very visual person, so I seriously went and got this out of the garage and dug for my box markers. So you should feel special that I'm taking this time to show you this. Anyways, okay, so I'm a visual person. I'm gonna think of this as a job. So this is kind of how I heard it, and my brain went in 8 directions. And so first of all, brokenness, we're talking about relationships, but really it could mean in any aspect of life. Brokenness comes from something that you're not educated on. It ends up, you do it wrong, and whether that be, let me just stay on topic. We're talking about relationships. You weren't educated on it, so you do it your way and the way that you see it being done, which 9 times out of 10 probably isn't right. And then it creates brokenness. It creates hurt, pain, suffering, and all that stuff that God did not intend to have. So I'm going to relate this into a job. So let's just say we're going to act like relationships are jobs. So you're looking for a job, okay? So women are a job. Men are a job. No, I'm kidding. But this is going to be actually not relationship. This is going to be marriage, okay? I am not good at this. Okay. Marriage. Sorry. All right, so the job is marriage. So whenever you're looking for a job, I'm going to be the employer. Let's just, I'm going to use LifeLight as an example. So if I am starting to interview people for LifeLight, or if I'm starting to, LifeLight's about to bloom. It's about to get big. Y'all have no idea. So I need to what? I need to start getting roles lined up, right? So I need to put my vision in place, okay? So my vision in place would be what I want. So a good job knows what they're looking for, okay? So they know their vision, okay? This is a good job. So LifeLight's a good job. So I know what I'm looking for. All right. So I'm going to have job descriptions, right? I'm going to have job descriptions written, and I'm going to know exactly what I'm looking for. Okay, so job descriptions is what you're wanting in a relationship, what your needs are, which men and women both have different needs, but you also have personal needs that everyone's are different. That's what makes us all unique, right? So that's what you're looking for. I don't know why I'm picking, okay, looking for. All right, so I know what I'm looking for, all right? So then you have to think, okay, well, so you're going to start getting applications. So on a application, and it's actually funny because you see these going around Facebook a lot, right? You got people putting little applications on their Facebook and seeing who's going to respond or whatever. But an application is where they're going to fill it out, and then you've got what comes next. You got your interview time. So application would be kind of like a screening, right? Which to me, it's like looking at someone's Facebook, or if you're like on an online dating app or site, whatever. Farmersonly.com. Sorry, I had to. Okay, so you're screening that person, and you are pretty much trying to figure them out what they want you to know, okay? But that doesn't mean that's true. That doesn't mean anything, but that means that they want you to know that stuff, okay? And then you start interviewing. Interviewing would be face-to-face. I'm over here. That's like how I do at work. Anyways, so face-to-face would be interviewing. So interviewing is dates. This is all kinds of chicken scratch. So you're going on dates. I don't even know if y'all can see this. Okay. So going on dates. So how many times do you date someone? Now, remember, the job is marriage, okay? The job is not to have sexual relations or whatever. That might be what you think, and that might be somebody with the wrong intentions, goals, but if they really want the job, if they really want the marriage, that's not going to be their intentions, right? So for the job, for this perfect job, and for a marriage, you're going to go on dates, right? So whenever you go on dates, you go on one date and you get to know the person. You're interviewing that person, right? Now remember what I said. Good jobs know, I didn't even write it on here. Yeah, good jobs know what they're looking for, okay? Well, bad jobs, they don't know what they're looking for, so they might not even think that they require a second date before taking it a step further in wherever they think needs to go. They might just try to progress. They might try to make it Facebook official or whatever. No, you don't make it Facebook official after a date, after one date or two or three, because guess what? You're still in the interview process. You haven't got hired yet, all right? So you don't do that. What you do is you keep interviewing. If you're a bad job, then you don't know what you're looking for. You basically just hire people that are unqualified to be married to you. You go ahead and make them Facebook official, and then it ends up just spiraling downhill from there. But you have turnover that way, okay? You'll have, and it's all just due to lack of confidence, lack of worth. You don't know your worth. You don't know what you're looking for. So that's why it's important to go on dates. No one ever said dates were wrong, because you need to interview. You need to know what you're looking for. You need to make sure they're qualified to be in a marriage relationship with you, because that's the whole point of dates. It's not this other stuff that people make it seem like. And you have to stop letting people go through the interview is a process. After one interview, if you know what you're looking for, then hey, you hear marriage stories that way, but that's crazy. After two, it's like, okay, we're pretty sure. But three is like probably meeting parents or who knows what, I don't know. But it's not Netflix and chill. It's not sleeping in the bed and allowing temptation to get in, because that's all that's going to do. You have a movie date and you're not in the movies, you're in your house. No, that's not good until further on, because you're just allowing temptation to be in there. You cannot have, God is supposed to be in the center of everything. This is one person, this is two. I don't know if you can even see that, but God's supposed to be in the center. If you're up in your bed and watching TV, God is not in the center. I can guarantee you of that. But if you're in the movies, okay, you got a little thing there, and I don't even know these days, but pretty sure God's God could be in the middle. Kind of like if you're out to dinner. Guess what? Are you going to the house and eating dinner? Or is that just an excuse? Or are you allowing God to be in the center? And in the center, it could be you're sitting across from that person. You're saying your blessing before you eat. You're having those discussions that are meaningful. You're having a real interview, okay? You're not just hiring them. You got the job. Haven't even asked you 10 questions, but you got it. I just know you're the one, No, because you're basing it off of eyes. That's another, and I was about to say I got 4 right now. It's not even funny. Okay, so you can't just give someone the job based off of looks, because you're not going to get what you're looking for. They have to be qualified, right? So if you go through the interview process and you're like, all right, we've asked you these questions, you've been able to back it up. You've been able to show me your... Now that could be taken 2 ways, but you've been able to explain your experiences, your skills, your, whatever. And then that is an offer is placed, right? So you get a job offer, and that's that's a commitment. Like, hey, I'm going to come to work every day. I'm going to, and that is an engagement, right? And so then it's okay to make it Facebook official, because engagement, and if you really think about this, I don't even know the real definition, but I could probably guess, but an engagement, whenever you get engaged, if you think about that word didn't come from anywhere. You're actually making engagements with a person. So you're engaging in doing other things. And so that could be taken in 12 different ways, but stay on track here. We're talking about jobs. So you're actually able to do, I don't know where I was going with that, but engagement, like that word, it is interesting to really think about, because a lot of people don't take it serious these days. They've already went through all that other stuff, and prior to ever being engaged, it's like, no, go on the right track. Go on the track that God wants you to go on. Go on the track that is in the Bible, because that is the true book of instruction, right? So then after that, it's your plan is to get married. Well, as long as you're abiding by, God's rules and obeying God, then you will have a happy marriage. You will be equally yoked. One of the biggest things, I think I don't know if I put it on a post, but it really spoke to me the other day, and I have been replaying about how I could make a video, and I'll probably make one more of a visual, but let me just go right here. If you are making something good, let's just say you are making grandma's pie, okay? This is grandma's pie. I'm an artist, can't you tell? Okay, so was I qualified? No. Okay, so this is grandma's pie, but guess what? This pie, it looks real good, doesn't it? Got some steam coming off it. This pie looks really good, and that doesn't mean that it's not, but it could look really good and be disgusting in the inside if you don't have the right ingredients. So whenever you're in a relationship, right? Whenever you are wanting something beautiful, and not to just look beautiful, but to taste beautiful, you have to have the right ingredients. So do you really think that in this pie, if I put, let's just say 2 eggs, why can't I think, spinach, ketchup, flour, sugar, and deodorant. Do you think that that's going to be good? No. It might have turned out like it looked all pretty, but under that pretty crust that was laid over it and looking great, it is all this gross mush, okay? You cannot make something beautiful with the wrong ingredients. In other words, you are not going to have a happy marriage, okay, that's the ring. You are not going to have a happy marriage without the right ingredients. The right ingredients is purity, right? Is trust, is love, is commitment, okay? Is patience. All of that, okay? Because these things, so many people don't have these days in their relationships, and they are already losing. Like, oh, she said she was going to her sister's house, but I saw her in a Snapchat at so-and-so's house, so I've already lost her trust. You're losing these things before you ever even get the job. If you are losing these things before you ever get the job, then guess what? It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be happy. It's not going to be what you want. You are praying for things. You can't sit there and have half of these things crossed off your list during your interview and they're not working out, but yet you want to give them the job and pray that they'll turn out right. That's not going to work. You have to have these things on the list, work through them, do them in the right order, get to where you're going, and then give them the job, right? And then have a happy marriage. You can't do everything backwards and then ask God to save it. It was already jacked up before he ever even gave it to you. You already messed it up. You already let the temptation in because you already did whatever. I don't know what that was. But anyways, the reason why I'm saying this is because, and like I said, if you are one of the people that I spoke to, this is not in any disrespectful way towards you. You know, I spoke life into your situations, but I'll tell y'all just like I told them, like, why did you call me? I'm very like, I can be really blunt, but I said it just like this to one of them. I said, why did you call me and not one of your other friends? And she said, well, because I knew, I'm speaking specific. My poor baby is outside crying. Not my son, my dog, by the way. But she said, because I knew that you would really help me and you would be able to tell me exactly what I needed to hear. And I said, but why? Like, I wanted her to dig deeper. And I said, but why? Because you knew that I speak truth, I speak life, and it's my words. It's me just sharing what's in the Bible. And so many people, and that's why I'm just like, it irks me that I don't have enough time, and that's no excuse, but I know that it will all come on God's time, but I'm having a hard time managing and getting my website up, but it is to educate, because that is what brokenness comes from, and I know that not enough people really are understanding the Bible, but it's in the Bible. I didn't know it for a long time. I still don't know everything. No one can ever know everything that's in the Bible or understand it. There's different ways to interpret it, different Bibles, all that stuff. And that's what I want to educate people on. But the most important part here is just like I said, look, yes, you, in this one situation, and I can break down all three situations to be really honest, but in this one situation, it is a married couple, okay? And they're having issues. They've been together. Okay, well, they have been together for, I'm just throwing numbers out there. This isn't real. This part, but okay, so they've been together for 10 years, but they've only been married for 5. Well, guess what? Those other 5 years, you weren't doing things right. I'm just trying to be honest with you, but so you decided to, whether, I don't know the whole story, but you obviously, I would hope that they had asked for forgiveness and then, went into the commitment phase and made that commitment and then got together. But then guess what? They're still broken, because you cannot, a ring, this shiny thing right here, doesn't change anything. Like, all it does is that was what you thought was gonna make you happy, but it's not. And so now you're there and you're married and you're miserable. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. And this isn't the case in all situations, but I would like to believe that the people that are in those situations, they don't end up being happy, and it's very unfortunate, and I don't wish it on anybody, but it is what it is. If you were obeying God and doing it God's way and not your way, then you would be happy. The reason why people stay in those relationships is comfort zones. They want to be comfort. They have a fear. They have no self-worth. They don't have confidence. They don't think anyone else is out there. They have some kind of connecting. Something is connecting them. Blessing! It's okay, sissy. She sees me making a video and she is mad because she ain't getting attention. And it's late and I wouldn't even be outside anyways. But, okay, so they have some kind of connection, whether that be, and I'll say it, I'll be real black and white. There was a relationship that I was in, and some of you know, but there was that fear there, like, hey, I'm never gonna, my car, I'd always been on my own, but then in this particular relationship, and I'm not trying to put anyone on blast, but I had a car in this person's name. And so I felt trapped, like, oh, well, if I leave this, then I won't have the car. I'm going to have to start all over again. Or, and then in my last situation, it was like, oh, well, guess what? I had broke a lease because I was going against God's will and God's plan. And I was listening to a man and that wasn't, necessarily on the right track at the time, at least. And he was telling me everything I wanted to hear. So I thought, oh, okay, well, yeah, I'll go and move into this apartment. Now, there was stipulations to that. I was uneducated, and I was verbally told, because I was only a month away from my lease being up, and I was verbally told by the apartments, hey, yes, you can leave as long as you leave it in move-in condition. That's a whole other story, but I didn't know because I was uneducated, so I did that, and guess what? It ended up on my credit. And so the first time I left this person, and I know I've told this to some of you, but I was scared the first time, but guess what? It was so hard for me. What is going on? She is like scratching at the wall. That is not okay. This is a new house. Protective. Okay, but the first time I was scared, the first time, I was a little scared, but I actually had confidence. But whenever I took my confidence and went out to try to go get another place to live and be back on my own again, I had hell. It was like, no, you have a broken leash. It was like just stabbing in my back. It was sucking my money. It was sucking my confidence. That confidence that I had walking out there ready to start over was like just being sucked dry. And it ended up working out. But guess what? I let those words that he spoke get back to me, and I let my head get to me, and there's no one to blame but me. And I went back in that same situation for a little longer. Okay, hold on a second. Blessing. No, ma'am. Okay. I really got to make this quick. Okay. So I let that get a hold of me. And so I ended up going back and being miserable again, eventually. And not miserable. That's kind of a strong hate word. But I just ended up in that situation where I thought that that's what I wanted and that would make me happy. I went back in that comfort zone, but it was only comfortable for so long until I did have to grow that confidence back and make myself realize and really dig into the word even more. Like, hey, I know my worth again. Like, we're stopping this. And so we finally drew the line. But that's whenever I moved out that next time. And then look at me, like, I would have never, and I've said it before, but I would have never imagined owning a house at 28, much less single for life. Brent, get out of here. You want to marry me. Don't even. Okay? Okay, so, yeah. So what's interesting, Oh my gosh, you made me lose my train of thought. Okay, so what's interesting is now is like God is showing me, because I had in my head, this is just what was in my head, but I really know that it was God. Like, hey, and this was the enemy in my head. Hey, you're not going to own a home. You're not going to have a house unless you have a man. And yes, men are needed. We talk about that. I talked about that a minute ago. Not only, for there's certain things that a man provides to a woman, and only a man can do that, and vice versa. And so I'm not making a man any less, but I am here to tell you that, those... God is teaching me patience right this second. Blessing! No, ma'am! Hold on, y'all. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm here to tell you that you cannot do it your way. You cannot let the enemy get in your head and sit there and tell you like, oh no, you have to have this, or you're never going to make it, this or that. I had in my head like, hey, I have to have a man before I buy a house. I have to have a man before this happens or that happens. Or, it takes two. It takes, like, that's just what I thought that it took. And then God showed me like, hey, you're going to get what you want, but you're not going to get it the way that you want it. You're going to get it the way that I have planned for you. And look, I believe that he is providing me with this, and he is enabling me, giving me the opportunity to use it and to have a message. God gives us things, and that is as blessings, and we're supposed to take those blessings and use it for the benefit and for the knowledge, to be shared, to help for his kingdom, right? And so it's one of those things where I know that God has a plan, and I know that educating people on how you're supposed to do things, and I know it sounds like so cliche or whatever, but God sees you. He sees what you're going through. He sees what you want, what you need, and he will make a way. He will provide. And just like they always say, it's not the way that you want it, it's the way that he wants it for you. So I know that there are some of you in relationships where you're just in that comfort zone still. You're in that I guess comfort zone is the real word for that, but you're weak, you're in your comfort zone, you are unhappy, you might be miserable, you might be winging it, whatever, but you will never get that fulfillment unless, one, you have a relationship with God first. And that's why you can't do it backwards and then pray for God to like revert it or whatever. You have to do it his way. Like, you have to think, you can't, you cannot, you cannot do it in a way where you don't know about God's word. Like, it all just starts making sense, but you can't not know about God's word. I'm saying it backwards, I think. You can't not know God's word and then expect his results, right? You have to have a relationship with God before you can have a happy relationship with his results with anybody else. I don't care who you are, what color, race, skin color. I just said that 5 times. Color, breed. I don't care what you are. Age, gender. I don't care what you are. You will never have a good relationship. You will never have fulfillment. You will never have that empty hole filled, okay, whatever it is that you're lacking, without that relationship with God, without doing it God's way. If you don't have the right ingredients, you will never get the right pie, okay? Pie. What was that? It's like 3, what is pi? 3, 1. I was about to say John 3:16, 3:14, whatever. I don't even. But you can never have what you're looking for without that. You have to make a change. It's not going to work. You are creating a pattern that needs to be broken. 9 times out of 10, you are in the same pattern that a parent or a grandparent was in, or someone close to you that you witnessed. So all I'm saying is, if you're in that spot in your life, you need to realize that prayer is powerful, but if you did things backwards, God can't change that. God can't, God can do anything. So excuse my words, but unless you really change it according to God's ways and really start over the right way and do things the way that God wants, then you're never going to have what you're looking for. And so that's my message is if God was truly in the middle of that pie, if God was truly in the middle of your relationship from the beginning and he was the real core, then you have nothing to worry about because it's based on God. But guess what? If he wasn't in the center of yourself, like in your heart, in your person's heart, then it's not going to be good. But if he was, then guess what? Like, if let's just say there's 2 people, I'll just say me and a man, and God's not in the center of his heart, and I do something wrong, whether that be intentional or unintentional. But if I do something wrong and God's in the middle of his heart and in the middle of our relationship, then he's going to work it out. It's going to happen. That man's heart will be so tender that he will forgive, okay? But if he doesn't have God in his heart, then he's not going to forgive. He's going to lash out. He's going to say something out of line, like that doesn't even seem relevant. He's going to he's not going to do something that God would do. And so it could go as far as hitting. It could be, anything. And I've just heard a lot of different scenarios. And to be honest, I've been more asked for prayer or been told like, hey, I'm praying for you or whatever, because I've kind of been through my own little storm. But I will say that it's interesting because Friday, for the first time, people were asking me how I was. And I'm the type of person where I'm not just going to say good. Like, I'll be like, oh, I'm just, and I'll kind of share something because that's just who I am. But I, for the first time, was like, we're doing really good. I can't really, can't complain. But I was just back on routine. I had stuff organized, my purse cleaned, and I'd pretty much I felt like I was living out of it. Just so many different things happening, but I mentally knew that I was, and then it was like God knew that my things were getting back in order and organized like I like it. And so he sent 3 people to me, and I know that it was him because he gave me the right words to speak into them. And so he sent those people to me, and I spoke life into them. I was able to quote his word, and they, were able to count on me and to reflect and learn from that. And I don't know their ending or their stories or whatever, but everyone has a different one. And I just know that if more people, like, that just keeps coming up in my brain, if more people were educated, then less people would be broken. So I'm trying to help the broken and let them realize, like, hey, I'm still young, but I learned a lot in younger years, younger than most people, and because of it, I've grown wise. And I don't know everything, but I know one thing is I know what I'm looking for. I know what job I what kind of job title I'm looking for. And there's things that I've learned through really doing the interview process and the dates. Like, I know what I'm looking for. I know I've got to learn things that I didn't even know I was looking for that I had added to my list. And you can't do that without really going on dates. There's nothing wrong with dates if God is in the middle. But I'm rambling at this point. I just wanted to share that. Please, if you are in a situation and you're not happy, but you keep seeing this pattern, you have to get out of it. You have to give that distance. And then if, just like the old quote or whatever, if it's meant to be, it will find its way. And that's so true, because if you keep yourself in that situation, it could result in something worse. If people are just sitting there and they're bickering and they're fighting and all that, you could end up with a charge. You could end up with a death. I mean, you never know. Like, you just need to make sure that you are removing yourself from that environment. And that's not one, that's two. I don't know what shoe you're on if you're in a situation and watching this, but you just need to know that it's your responsibility to fix it. And that could be the victim or the other person, right? So if you're the victim, then it's your job to make a move and get out. There's so many resources. There's so many tools. And if it's the other situation, like if you're watching this, you have a tool in your hand, like with so many resources. And so that's what I'm working on building. But you can find that you can reach out to me or whatnot. There's resources for all of that. But in another sense, if you're the person that's doing that is doing something to the other person, I'm just using abuse, I don't know. But you need to realize that, like, there are consequences, and you don't want to end up, if there's children involved, you don't want to end up losing the right to see them. You don't want to end up losing time in your life. And by that, I mean like in jail or as far as prison or whatever. But I mean, you need to know that even if you don't get time, you still have consequences, and they're not easy. They don't make it easy these days. And you yourself have a worth. I don't care who you are. If you're watching this, you have a breath, then you have a purpose, you have worth, and you have a reason to be here. And I know that it's not to cause harm. And so you need to find out what your purpose is. And by that, you need to be in the Word so that you can be searching for that. And God will show you. He will let you see what your purpose is. So that way you can fulfill your purpose and do what you were put on this earth to do. And make Him happy, and then He will start to bless you. You will start to feel loved. You will start to get whatever it is that you are lacking, which is why you were doing what you were doing in the first place. So anyways, that is my message for today, and I hope that meant something to you. And if there's anything I can help you with, pray for you, pray for someone. If you know anyone in a situation, anything, I would, you can email me, or you can message me. It doesn't matter. Y'all know my contact information. And that's a wrap. It's getting late. So y'all have a good night, and I will see y'all later.